All right, it is official. Shane Beamer has made his 3 new hires for the offensive coaching staff for South Carolina. I got to admit, he kind of nailed it. I love 2. I don't really like 1, but we talk about all 3 on the next show. And also, does one of these coaches hold the key to telling LaNorris Sellers to stay? Locked On Gamecocks starts right now.
You are Locked On Gamecocks, your daily podcast on the South Carolina Gamecocks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, guys? Welcome into Locked On Gamecocks. I'm your host, Chris Marler, and welcome to the show, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, now the #1 sports podcast network in the country, and we have you to thank for it, so we appreciate you. Got a good show for you today. We're going to get into all of the new hires. Before we do, I want to give a quick shout-out to our friends at FanDuel, who today's sponsor of the show is FanDuel. And right now, if you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com, place your NFL live bets all season long, and you can do it right away. It's FanDuel.com. A whirlwind. It's Wednesday. We're recording this. It's a whirlwind of a past couple 48 hours. It's been a lot of waiting. And then, what do you know? Wednesday morning, it seems like everything has been in place, and the new hires have been made. There was a meeting, I think, of the board. Get the exact verbiage on who met, but like we heard this was going to be on Monday morning. We thought that Briles might be the guy that was going to be announced finally, and that didn't happen. It came and went. But then we heard late yesterday that a meeting was set for the decision makers who ultimately will sign these contracts and probably checks as well. They were to meet to make sure they would approve of new staff hires for the athletic department. That's all it said. Obviously, we all knew what that meant. And I'm excited. There's a couple ways to look at this, and we'll get into all 3 of the guys. Briles is the big one. We've done 2 shows in a row, kind of breaking down how good of an OC candidate he is, and getting all the numbers. We got graphics made for it. We'll continue to do that over the next, this episode and also the next couple of weeks, just because it is a really big hire. I think we're all wondering, what can this look like if South Carolina is able to bring back LaNorris Sellers? What can it look like in general, and like how different of an offensive like scheme and identity, and also more than anything, production are they going to see from this year to next year? So I think Briles is obviously the headliner here, but a close second, and I was shocked at just like how big of a diamond in the rough type feel this had, with Stan Drayton being the running backs coach from Penn State. Now, if you don't know who Stan Drayton is, that's fine. He has been in the world of coaching for roughly 32 years, I believe. And that's another thing that Beamer did in this round of hires, by the way. Admittedly, when I saw that they had NFL experience and 30-plus years, I was like, that's great, but so did Mike Shula. And there's like a little bit of worry and PTSD from that, where I don't want to sit here and just assume, well, if you've been coaching for 30 years, they must be really, really good at it. But when you go get a guy that's the running backs coach at Penn State, who had, when he left, they had their all-time leading rusher on the team, like in program history, more than Saquon Barkley, more than everybody. That's a pretty good resume builder right there. His track record, he's coached at 13 different schools over the 32 years. He's been a head coach at Temple. He was in the NFL with the Bears, and I believe the Packers as well. So he's been a journeyman. He's also been in the SEC at times. He was in Mississippi State in 2004 on the same staff as Shane Beamer. Beamer must have been like 11 years old at that point. And then he also coached at Tennessee and Florida. But here's the thing that stood out to me. And I want to give a shout out to Brent Hughes, or HJ Hughes 79 on Twitter. His name's Brent, but that's his handle. Give him a follow, by the way, because he's hilarious. Just a fantastic South Carolina account to follow. He posted one of the things I immediately go look for when there's a new hire, and that is, okay, well, if you're going to be on field, like all on field staff is allowed to recruit. There's only 10 members that are allowed to be on field as staff, and all 10 of those are allowed to recruit. That's basically, you don't want to just retain a guy. You're not allowed to just retain a guy who's a great recruiter but can't coach a position unit or coach somewhere on the field because he's just good at recruiting. It's just like the NCAA just won't allow it. This guy is a running backs coach. He's been a head coach. He had a very similar path, I guess, that almost like Sean Elliott had, where he was a G6 school head coach and became a positions coach for a massive Power 4 program right after that. And his list of recruits that have committed to him over his 30 years, you might put that up there with almost anybody. It is a who's who of stars from college football and also the NFL. And I'll go through some with you real quick. It's like off the top of my head, Bijan Robinson, 4 or 5-star, obviously now starting with the Atlanta Falcons. Cam Newton, Chris Rainey. Remember Chris Rainey, the running back, who's a high-level 4-star kid that played with Florida when they won those national championships in the late 2000s. Ezekiel Elliott won a national championship at Ohio State, was a first-round draft pick at running back. Very, very, very good college career and a very good NFL career as well. And then Marshawn Lattimore, the defensive back at Ohio State that played in the NFL forever. That is, I mean, off the top, one, I love the fact that you're able to have so much different success at so many different places. Like Rainey, Florida had great recruiting classes like for that entire time under Urban Meyer, but Rainey, Florida kid, then you go get Cam Newton, an Atlanta kid, shows you have a very, very good, at least range to not just have just one specific territory, but in the entire Southeast. So that whole journeyman resume that he has from he's been at 3 different places in the SEC and 13 different teams. He also knows how to recruit, it seems like, in multiple areas, not just the one that's closest to the school. Love that. Love that. That is like such a massive, massive value add to the staff. Like Mike Fury, if you think about Mike Fury, I don't know how good a receivers coach Mike Fury is. I don't. But I do know he's arguably the best recruiter on the staff. He was last year. And that's a guy that is, even if there is staff changes that were being made like this year, that's a guy you can't touch because he's good at his job, but 2, he adds so much extra value to his staff and to your program because of how good he is at recruiting. There's plenty of people like that on this staff, on this current staff, but to add one that's coming from Penn State and the track record that he has and the players that he has like helped develop into NFL stars and first-round picks, massive. I've told you guys how I feel about the Kendal Briles thing. I love it. We're going to get into some numbers here in a second. The other hire that was made, and I was not planning on having roughly 5 minutes of being on a soapbox for the running backs coach, Stan Drayton, but here we are. The other hire was the offensive line coach, and it's Randy Clements, who is currently the assistant offensive line coach at TCU. This is not a sexy hire by any means. And I, just to be frank, don't love it just from some of the production that his units have had more recently than in years past. Now he's very familiar with Briles because he was on the staff at Baylor for a long, long time. He's currently on the staff at TCU right now, like I said, as the assistant coach. So he's coaching with Briles right now before they end up moving to Columbia. Before that, he was at UNC. At UNC, he had from a player standpoint, they had 3 players on the all-conference team his very first year. The run game averaged like over 190 yards rushing. It was a top 20 rush offense in the country. Those are all great. Here's where I'm coming from South Carolina standpoint, and it's maybe not a fair place to come from. Can you keep the quarterback upright? Because I'm just so sick of seeing either Spencer Rattler or LaNorris Sellers or anyone else have to come up and mop up duty, or when someone's gotten hurt, not be able to stand upright. Like it has been 3 years of 40 or more sacks. I need the offensive line to be better. Now, here's the thing. The offensive line, they got a lot of people coming back. That you only lose 1 scholarship player to graduation and then 1 just hit the portal. You have 12 players on this roster that are scholarship players on the offensive line that are coming back. This guy has been also a coach for 30-plus years. Journeyman, been all over the place like most college coaches. At UNC, they, from a numbers standpoint, I think they finished 12th out of 14 teams his first year in sacks allowed, giving up 37. They gave up 33 the next year, so he gave up 70 sacks in 2 years. It's not as bad as 40, but it's also not as good. I believe this hire was probably made because what Shane Beamer said he was going to do from jump was whoever I hire as the OC will have a say in making the other hires and what we do in the portal. If you're going to give that power to the offensive or to your new offensive coordinator, it would, in my mind, it makes sense to logically make the jump that, okay, well, this hire was probably spearheaded by landing Briles. And here's the thing. If it means you're going to get Briles, I think you take that deal 9 times out of 10. Like again, it's been a coach for 30 plus years. He was at Baylor for like a decade. Like he had some longevity there. There's plus and minuses. There's pros and cons. There's everything like that. Like for any coach and the places that this guy has been, it's not they're like, factors for NFL talent at the offensive line, but they have been good at what they do in the college game. I just need to see LaNorris Sellers or whoever the quarterback is upright. That's it. That's my only request. So not a huge sexy hire, like I said. I believe it's probably because this was going to be a part of getting Kendal Briles, like not like, assuring that it would. But if you make that hire, then this hire, of course, is the next domino to fall. And that's fine. That's fine. I haven't watched any of his films like from any of his offensive lines. Like I'm coming from a very ignorant place of please just let my quarterback be upright. That's it. So of the 3 hires, that's probably my least favorite, but it's also not a bad one, right? Like it's not like it's a horrible mistake. I'm not trying to open this entire stint here at South Carolina with negativity. What I am saying is when you have 3 guys you got to go get, and you're in a little bit of a time crunch, and you knocked out 2 birds with 1 stone, and a guy that also Briles probably trusts, right? Like that's I would trust Briles' opinion way more than mine. I guess my main point is just of the 3, that was the one that that kind of stood out to me the most. But that running backs coach that you're able to get, Briles was going to be the headliner of this class, right? Like the way we talk about recruits, he was going to be the headliner of this coaching staff hire for South Carolina, no matter what. But to go get the running backs coach from Penn State in a year where they have so much turnover and then like their staff's going to be gone. But like the one thing that they were good at Penn State was running the football with 2 very, very skilled running backs. And then you start thinking about like the other players that he has helped develop and recruit. My God, but that is this from a position coach standpoint might be a steal or the steal of the entire coaching carousel. So, all right, we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to talk more about Kendal Briles, the numbers that show this might not be a long wait for him to turn this thing around offensively. And we'll tell you why next. All right, welcome back. Getting to the second part of the show. I feel like I just went way too hard on Randy Clements there, and now I feel bad about it. But we don't have time to go back and apologize or take that part out. So here we are. Before we get started on the next part of the show and talking more about this Kendal Briles offense and how excited I am for it, man. There's so much to love about what they do at TCU and what they do in his offenses everywhere he's been. So we'll get into that. Before we do that, I want to say a quick shout out to our friends at FanDuel. You guys heard me talk about it at the top of the show, and we will continue to do so. There's nobody better in the game than FanDuel, and NFL Sundays are moving fast, one big play at a time, and suddenly everything feels different. That's what makes live betting with FanDuel so exciting. You're not just watching the game, you're reacting to it in real time, and you're part of the action. With FanDuel, you can place live bets on live action games as the game's unfolding. Everything's at your fingertips, up-to-the-date money lines, up-to-the-date over-unders, and team totals, as well as player props as well. You can do all those things. Live spreads adjust instantly right at your fingertips. So if you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com and place your NFL live bets all season long. FanDuel, the game moves fast, and so can you. Also, I want to tell you about something new we're doing here at Locked On called the Everydayer Club. You guys know that how much I appreciate y'all, and thank you for making Locked On Gamecocks your first listen each and every day. And thank you for making Locked On the #1 sports podcast network as well. You already live your team every single day. So now you can take that up a notch. you can take that up a notch if you choose to do so. We are starting a new series and promotion here at Locked On, where if you take this up a level and go ad-free, join the Everydayer Club today and get Locked On Gamecocks or any other show that you want to listen to with no interruptions. Members only, Discord access, and more. All for $5 a month or $50 a year. Thank you again for making this your first listening to every day, and thank you for making Locked On the #1 sports podcast network. I'm very excited for what's happening next in the upcoming year. Some big announcements coming soon from Locked On, and we'll make sure that you guys know all about that when they come on down. The big announcement that I really want to talk about, though, is this, and that is Kendal Briles finally being in Columbia, South Carolina. Doing the deep dive on his numbers, man, it was so it was one of those things where it's like you knew the numbers were going to be great and they were going to be better than what you currently have. All this stuff I already said. But one of the cool things about Kendal Briles, too, and in the offense he's bringing here is a lot of the stuff that South Carolina, that's really plagued this offense for a while now, the stuff that's really plagued this offense and they've been very bad at, he kind of excels at. You know what I mean? And I'm not talking about the offensive line part. I'm talking more so about, like, you know, how bad you've been on third downs. And you look at, like, the numbers on third downs for the past 3 years for South Carolina, 105th, 40th, or 46th, and 113th. Then you go look at what he did at TCU in those same 3 years. They were top 40 all 3 years. Just a really, really big get from Shane Beamer. And here's the next question, too, because this was something I didn't really think much of, because it's kind of like just the obvious part of it, but it's also something that's not guaranteed by any means. And that is, whoever you're bringing in, how quickly can you do the install on that system where the players feel comfortable and they get it, especially going into the offseason? And how quickly can you turn this thing around? Because I think a lot of South Carolina fans are at the same place I'm at, which is, man, if you were able to do a little bit more offensively and score a little bit more points and be a little bit more creative, like the difference that would have made in terms of winning games, like, we just wouldn't be sitting where we are today. You probably beat Alabama, you probably beat Clemson, you probably beat A&M, and again, the first part of the season was awful. You think about how we're feeling if you win those 3 games, or you even win 2 of those 3 games. And I think the offense that was out there for most of the year was it was awful. And now you're bringing in some like a breath of fresh air, and you get this like restart. But if you're Shane Beamer, this is not we got to come in here, we got to give him time, we got to figure out what we need to do and put the players around him. Like, it has to work now. Like, it has to work now, and it has to work immediately. Because make no mistake about it, like, next year is make or break for Shane Beamer. I don't think that if you are 6-6, Shane Beamer is the coach next year. I just don't. I think it depends on a couple other factors, but the way that this year ended, I mean, there's multiple people that I've talked to that agreed he deserved another year, but if it's not fixed early by the start of, by next year, and you're talking about getting into October and you're 2-2 and you got a bad loss, I don't know if he makes it to the end of the season. So this has to work for him and his team, and it has to work right away. There's some good news, Shane, if you're listening, and also Gamecock fans. There's some really good news that the guys at BigSpur.com pulled today and posted this on Twitter. I'm going to bring it up right now. All right, so we've talked about all the numbers, right? We talked about all the numbers, and we're going to continue to do so because it's an exciting time. But this, I was very jealous of this graphic. I made one yesterday that we posted, and make sure I have this up here, and we'll post it here in a second. And I was trying to figure out the most important information to put on here, and you guys know how much I love getting the numbers, but sometimes I get ahead of myself and get lost in them trying to explain what I'm trying to what I'm excited about anyway. The guys at Big Spur nailed it. They just nailed it. There's so many numbers that pop out when you look at a Kendal Briles offense, but the one that might be the most important out of all of them is, hey man, how quickly can you turn this thing around? And you look at what this school, I think, or this team was offensively this year. You were ranked 104th in points per game, 108th in yards per game, 95th in yards per play, and the list goes on. How quickly can you turn that around? Because it's that surely the number would go up if you make a new hire and you're not ranks higher than 104th next year in points per game or 108th in yards per game, we have a whole new set of issues. But in everywhere he's been, the success has been immediate, and it's also been awesome. I mean, like, you look at some of these numbers, you're talking about he was at Baylor in 2015 and 2016. Then he goes to FAU from Baylor, right? So he's at Florida Atlantic with Lane Kiffin. And the offense the year before he got there was ranked 72nd. The year he gets there, it's ranked 9th. It's a top 10 offense in the country. Then he goes to Houston the following year. Houston, right? This is when they had De'Aaron King. Very similar quarterback to LaNorris Sellers, by the way. Their offense before he got there, 40th in the country. Not bad. We would take that. When he was there, it was 14th. And also it was ranked like in the top 10 in several other offensive categories, including passing yards and I think yards per or points per game as well. Then you talk about he leaves there and goes to Florida State. Not my favorite stint of his, not my favorite part of his resume to study, but they were 103rd in 2018 in total offense. They were 103rd in the country. The year he gets there, they're 59th. Not great. Not as great as the other two stops he was at, but at the same time, you're talking about increasing a team's spot almost 44 spots in the national rankings. That's still very, very impressive. And the number, by the way, is almost similar to exactly what South Carolina was last year. That's almost exactly what Florida State's numbers were in 2018 before he got there. Anyway, then he goes to Arkansas. Arkansas, 111th in offense in 2019. They jumped to 66th the next year and then 27th the year after. How quickly can you turn this thing around? Because we are in dire straits, like for Shane Beamer and his job security, if this thing doesn't work out. How quickly can you turn this thing around? Well, as you can see, pretty quickly. Now, again, there are concerns about stuff some of the stuff with his offenses that do seem to consistently stick out that aren't great. Like the red zone numbers aren't like fantastic. I don't know why that is. There's a lot of points scored, but inside the 20, when that field shortens up a little bit, and everything gets smaller, it hasn't been as successful. We're nitpicking a little bit here. Like, that's a very important step, but we're nitpicking a little bit because there is so much to like. I think that getting him here and pairing him with Clayton White, I mean, my God, dude, that is like, it'll be so refreshing to have two coaches on both sides of the ball that know what they're doing. Because how much freer can you coach, can you play, and like on Saturdays and also in practice, but mainly on Saturdays, if you know, oh man, like this game is not going to come down to just me because the other guy on the other, I don't see the other sideline, but like the other side of the ball, like if I'm Clayton White looking at Mike Shula, I'm like, jeez, if you get over 14 points, the game might be over. Like you don't have to coach with that kind of stress anymore. I'm just ecstatic over this hire. Ecstatic over it. I want to show you another stat as well. This is the graphic that I put out there yesterday. It was pretty good. Pretty good. Pretty pumped about Canva on this one. But here's the comparison to where South Carolina's offense has been under Shane Beamer versus where Kendal Briles' offenses have been throughout his entire career. And I talked about these numbers the other day, and I kept saying going back to 2019. And I did that because the numbers were bad back to 2019. But that was also probably foolish in hindsight. I realized later because Beamer didn't start till 2021, so it's probably not as relevant. But looking at the numbers under Beamer specifically, it hasn't been good. You talk about it from a points per game standpoint, nearly 27 points per game. It's actually higher than I thought. That's 74th in the country. You're 84th in the country in yards per game at 364. You are 74th in yards per play, 61st in passing yards per game, and 75th in 10-yard plus plays. Now, the 10-yard plus plays is very important for a specific reason, and that is it's because that is a staple of Kendal Briles, by his own admission, of his offense, is getting, like, I would call mini chunk plays because you're not having like 20, 30-yard explosive plays, but a 10-yard play is still considered an explosive play, and it's also something that his offenses have thrived in better than almost anyone else in the country. From a just getting first downs in general standpoint, that's been a chore for South Carolina, 94th in the country, and then on third downs, under Beamer, they've been ranked 91st in the country. You look at the numbers for Briles, much better across the board. He's top 40 in every single category I just told you. And that's not just at TCU. That's over his entire 11 years of calling plays at multiple spots, in multiple conferences, in multiple areas around the country. Like I don't know how to poke a hole in any of that, but say, well, he didn't do it on the big stage. Well, he's done it in multiple Power 4 conferences. He's done it all over. But to be in the top 40 for that long, and 11 years of play calling at all these different spots, I mean, it's unbelievably impressive. And you start just kind of salivating looking at some of these numbers. The points per game, right around 35. 471 yards per game from his offenses. I can't even imagine what that's like. It's like every game will basically just be the 2024 A&M game. Sign me up. Just sign me up. Pass yards, 268.5 per game. That's 37th overall. 10-yard plus plays, 210 per season. That's 23rd. And then again, ranked top 30 in the country in first downs and third down conversions as well. I love the hire. I've rambled for 3 days about this. I've rambled the most today. The main takeaway is I think this is a really, really big move for Beamer. And I think it finally showed that he like is having some realizations and some self-awareness of like, hey, like maybe we're not going to have success if I don't make some changes in my philosophy and how I'm going about things, and mainly the hiring process of what we've been doing. He has not been good at evaluating offensive coordinators so far. This is a great hire. This is a great hire. Mike Shula, not a great hire. Dowell Loggins, this is a great hire. All right, we'll be back for the last part of today's show. We're going to talk about LaNorris. A decision should be coming in the next 2 weeks if he's going to stay, go, or go somewhere else. Does Kendal Briles impact him leaving or staying? We talk about it next. All right, let's close out today's show. I'll be honest, I don't feel like it went as well as I wanted it to. Got a little glitchy over here. Also, we got to do a new light. I was told in one of my last episodes that the lighting was terrible. That was the next thing that needed to be fixed. Got a new light, and it looks much clearer. And I don't know if I love that because I don't want to see my face this clearly at all. It's a tough look. Let's get into the last part of the show. Before we do, I want to give a shout out to our friends at Rugiet, and make sure you guys are Rugiet ready, especially for the holidays. We need to talk about something that people don't like to talk about that much, and men especially, and that's stress from work, money, life. It doesn't just switch off at night. And when it shows up at the worst possible time, Rugiet Ready is designed to help you take back control. Now, Rugiet Ready is a next-generation prescription treatment created to support both the brain and the body so you can feel the present, confidence, and ready when the moment matters. Rugiet Ready combines 3 clinically proven ingredients in 1 mint that dissolves under your tongue so it absorbs fast. The science behind Rugiet Ready stands out. There's 3 clinically proven ingredients in 1 formula designed for both mental and physical readiness. I tell you what, if you've been thinking about taking the next step and getting back to your old self, now is the time. Head to Rugiet.com/LockedOnCollege. That's Rugiet.com/LockedOnCollege to get 15% off your first order for a limited time. Rugiet Ready. Feel present, feel confident, feel ready. All right. Let's close out today's show with this. Is LaNorris staying or going? I don't know the answer to that. I don't know the answer to that. I cannot believe that I'm living a life right now of finding different things from his social media that people are either sending to me or I see on my own social media, and trying to read the tea leaves of what he could possibly mean by this emoji that he put in his. I cannot believe that is the world we live in today, but it is. It is the world we live in today. So there's been a lot of speculation in general, as there should be. And as I've said before, like I think if he is going to stay, I would be ecstatic. I would be ecstatic, especially with the Kendal Briles offense, because I really do think he would be a lot better in this offense. I understand the frustration that people have had with him, but here's the other thing too. I thought about this today. if you lose Sellers, like you have quarterbacks in your room, they're not as good as Sellers. And I know a lot of you will be like, well, Cutter Woods is going to be great. Sure, maybe. And, future's bright with Nolan and Duckworth, I guess. But, like, you have a proven commodity in Sellers. It's a guy that's going to go to the NFL at some point. It's a guy that you know as well as I do, even if you don't think he was good this year, that someone is going to offer him $3 million or more to go play quarterback for him. If he leaves, you have to go find a quarterback, right? And if you do that, you're probably not going to find one that's as talented as him. Yeah, and again, I want you to really think about this from like as objective as possible, and not just he was bad this year. The whole offense was bad this year. Like the whole offense was bad this year. It wasn't just him. What was the bright spot? Besides the first drive of the season against Va Tech, like I don't know if there was a bright spot. So Sellers you want him on your team. You definitely don't want him playing for someone else. Now I will also say this. If he leaves, I get it. I fully get it, because what's kind of been thrown out there, just maybe it's all speculation, maybe it's actual conversations, is if you convince him to stay, you're going to have to convince him that, hey, no, we're really going to get it right this time. Like, we're really going to get it right this time, and we're going to give you exactly the tools that you need to succeed as the quarterback of this system. And on top of that, we're not going to make you go out there and have 17-word play calls, spider Z, what is it, XY banana, like you're not going to have to do all that. You're going to be able to go out there and just play, react, play, have fun, and more than anything, we're going to put you in a situation in an offense where it's catered to your strengths. I can't believe that I haven't even say this, because you don't have to build everything around a certain player if you're a star, but if there are some players that you don't go out there and check. Gene Chizik used to tell me this all the time about Cam Newton. He's like, we had Cam, and I knew from day one, I was like, there better not be a single coach. He told me this in 2019. We visited SC Network, and we were talking with him. Gene Chizik's a great dude, by the way. The hardest work I've ever seen. He told me this story where he was like, he walked into after the first day of practice or first week of practice, and he was telling, it's like somebody got after Cam during practice that he did something wrong, or they wanted him to do something differently than he did. It was a play that he made the play, but they wanted him to change like the mechanics or whatever he did. And he goes and looks at the coach afterwards. He pulls him in the room. He goes, I don't want to see that ever again the rest of the year. I don't want to see a single person go to him and tell him to change anything. That's the horse that we're going to ride to a national championship. Do not screw that up. Like, and it wasn't like you don't challenge him and don't discipline him, don't like blah, 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 which could easily be construed that way considering his season at Auburn. But his message was, that guy right there is the best athlete on the field every time he steps on the field. He is an unbelievable specimen that no one else can do what he does, like at many levels in football. Don't get in his head and tell him about his throwing mechanic. Like, who cares? Let him go out there and do what he does best and go win us games, because we will ride him to a national championship. I don't know if South Carolina will be able to ride LaNorris Sellers to a national championship. I do know that it's infuriating to me to think of having this kid and the ceiling that he has and the talent that he has, and you were like, yeah, that's all great, but what are the things you do least well? Like, what are the things that you struggle with the most? Those are going to be like primarily our play calls. We're not gonna cater, even on the goal line. We're going to cater to you. I think pitching this with Briles of this is already an offense that caters to your strengths. We will also continue to cater it to your strengths and make sure you are having like you are thriving in this offense. It will be built around you. Here's my question. How do you trust that if you're LaNorris Sellers? How do you trust that? I mean, this is his third offensive coordinator in 4 years. The first two were, I mean, I'm sure he had ups and downs with Dowell Loggins. I can't imagine a few players in the country more disappointed from July and August to December than LaNorris Sellers in the situation he's been in. And I don't if I'm him, I don't trust that personally. If I'm LaNorris Sellers, I do not trust that this staff that I've been with for 99% of my days at South Carolina, because they just hired Briles. Up until this point, you have not done any of the things that you told me you were going to do to like, why would I trust that? Why would I trust that you're going to develop me? Why would I trust that you're going to like put the right people around me? It hasn't happened yet. And I know that maybe the answer to that, if we're being honest, is Beamer to say desperation. Because if you don't win, like he's gone. Like if he does not win next year, he's gone. So there's no ability for him to do the same crap he's done for the last 4 or 5 years when it comes to the offensive side of the ball. I think for a long time, Beamer was like, listen, I got special teams. Clayton Blake's got defense. We get this really good quarterback, and I believe that we're going to win. And I'm not going to be super heavily involved in all the offensive stuff. Well, I mean, you got to start reevaluating a lot of your tendencies and your the way that you manage stuff and address stuff and the way that you go about even from day to day in the building, because it clearly just didn't work this year. And I think Beamer's doing that, to be clear. I think he is. I think Beamer being desperate for keeping LaNorris is also something I think that plays in South Carolina's favor, because I think he knows just as well as I do, he could win games next year without LaNorris Sellers, but he can win a lot more with him. And I hope that he will stay and come back for another year. I really hope he does not go to the NFL, because I don't think he's ready for that yet. I do think that maybe down the line he could really reach his potential and maybe get there. I hope he comes back. I understand if he doesn't, but this week somebody posted, I guess he posted a picture of himself on Instagram with some song that I had never heard of. Our friend of the show, Lauren Beasley, posted this yesterday about it's Dean Blunt and Panda Bear, and the song is called 9. And I can tell you right now, I feel like I'm 107 years old just reading that, because I have no idea who that is. Also, listen to it. It does not. That is not the kind of music that I thought LaNorris Sellers was listening to. I'll just say that. Go check it out. But one of the lyrics in the specific song that he posted in the chorus is "Sit and watch it burn." So that sent South Carolina Twitter into a panic yesterday. Maybe it should have been. Maybe it's the most obvious subtle social media emo post we've ever seen. I don't know. We'll find out soon enough. I think the rumors that we heard was it'll probably be before Christmas, very similar to last year. I think that he signed his NIL deal on Christmas Eve, because I never had to do a show that night. So hopefully we'll know in the next 2 weeks, and then just like this whole process with the coaching staff hires, you know from there and you go from there. So that is all for today's episode. It's a long one. I appreciate you guys tuning in, and until next time, go Cox.